You can take a helicopter ride, a pink jeep tour, a red jeep tour, or a bus tour for sightseeing in Sedona, Arizona. We decided for the red jeep tour with Big John as our tour guide.
My wife and I first started coming out here in 1997 on our way to Las Vegas. Fell in love with it. Said some way, somehow we had to get here. Well, I was offered a retirement from the steel industry in 2000. I spent 33 years there as a manager. Took that retirement, came out here January of 2002, and have never looked back. I don't even have a job. This is the most fun in the world when you meet so many wonderful people from around the country, around the world, share a couple hours and enjoy life. And I've been doing this about 15 years now. Only work 10 months of the year. I don't work December, January. Normally it's very slow during that time. So a lot of us senior guys will take the time off, let the younger guys get a few more tours in. So I have learned to develop very, very strong muscles in my butt that allow me to sit for long periods of time without becoming extremely fatigued. I'm spoiled, I know it, I can't help it, okay? If I'm not being too personal, what grade are you gentlemen in? Eighth, and how about you, sir?
Senior.
Wow. Over there to my left is where Disney got the inspiration. It is called Thunder Mountain. And except for Alligator Alley in Florida and a few other places in the country, that mountain will get more lightning strikes during our summer monsoon, which is our thunderstorm season here, July, August, September, than most places in the country. 6,500 feet tall, sticks out like a sore thumb. And according to legend, during a very bright thunderstorm in the summertime in the evening, with a lot of lightning, you're supposed to be able to see the silhouettes of the warriors up on top of that mountain. Never seen it, but it doesn't mean it's not true. Now, a little bit about imagination. As we come from left to right, Thunder Mountain all the way to the end formation there. From the road, it's called Coffee Pot Rock. But from this angle, I say it looks like Foghorn Leghorn a little bit. I say, son, I see me a chicken hawk. It was the best of times, and I say it was the worst of times. Worse than my Aunt Lucy's cone pudding. That boy's as strong as an ox. So, folks, you're going to notice with that in mind, you cannot make me grow up. Don't even try. So while we're on the trail, please let your imaginations go. I'm going to show you rock formations and other things out here. See if you see the same things I do. If you do, that's fine. If not, you go right ahead and name them after yourself. We have plenty of them out here, and we will share with anybody. And a very unique thing about Sedona here is the fact that we are totally surrounded by the National Forest. So we can only build out whatever land we have available to us. And with a population right now between 10 and 11,000, we're about 75% capacity. So I'm making an assumption, in the next 20 years, we're going to max out right around 13 to 14,000. When that does happen, hopefully, we will not lose our small town ambience, and all of this will be left out here for the next generation and the next generation. Because, folks, this is nothing but a great big playground out here. It's my playpen. And we're going to go right from the subdivision into the National Forest in a matter of like 50 yards. That's how close some of these homes can be built. And if anybody has any questions during the tour, feel free to ask. If I do not know the answer, I'll make it up for you. Let's see if we can get up here a little bit, okay? Yippee-ki-yay, and here we go! I don't know, guys. I've got a strange, funny feeling that the ladies came out here a couple hours ago, put these rocks out here, so we gotta climb them. Well, just so you folks know, 3 things are gonna happen on this tour. Number 1, you're gonna lose about 200 calories bouncing around these rocks. So if you want the third thing, probably the most important thing, if you haven't gone to the bathroom yet, by the time we get back, you're going to have to go. Because we're going to use the bathroom in the forest here, folks. It's not an issue. Find yourself a bush. Throw a rock into it. Make sure there's nothing in soap yucca. pull it up by the root. Get that root wet. Beat it with a stick for about 10 minutes, and you're going to get soap suds out of it. That's how the Apache bathed out here. They didn't have tubs, jacuzzis, shower spas, things like that, and Lord knows they didn't bathe in the road. Now, there's two ways we can go. We can either go to the left, or we can go to the right. But there's only one caveat. You're not going to see which way to go. Which way do you want to go?
You pick it. You go
Ladies?
ahead and pick. You go right ahead. The better one.
The better way?
Yep.
Is that okay with the ladies?
Yep.
Then let's go to the right.
Seems like there's a lot of cacti.
What's that, sir?
Seems like there's a lot of cactus on the right side.
Well, there is. Okay, it's scattered all over the place now. And the right side going straight there. That's not fun. Let's go down this way. Elevator going down, folks. Now, I am going to get you very close to the edge here. Do not get excited. If you see me get excited, well, you don't have to worry about anything after that. We got a nurse here anyway, okay? So she'll take care of you. But I don't get excited on trail very much anymore. Early in Walt Disney's career, he had an offshoot of his entertainment industry called Castle Rock Entertainment. There it is right there to my right, folks. Castle Rock. Now, do you notice that little gray layer about a quarter of the way up, or halfway up, how perfectly symmetrical it is? Mm-hmm. That is Fort Apache limestone. That is the remnants of the last time we were under salt water here from the Pedregosa Sea, roughly 150 million years ago. Below that salt water, above that fresh water. That little thin layer of limestone you see right there, the Fort Apache limestone, that's where you're going to find a lot of your fossils, besides the one driving the Jeep, okay? Not dinosaur tracks, but brachiopods and shellfish. So, folks, if we can remember three things about how Sedona was formed here in a geological time period, we can't go wrong. Oceans, fresh water, volcanoes. We sit close to the tectonic plate. The only thing that separates us from the Pacific plate is a little bitty fault line called the San Andreas Fault. Well, every once in a while, these plates get a little rowdy. And one gets on top of the other, one gets on the bottom of the other. They push, they pull, they tug, they shove. In the case of Sedona, roughly 250 million years ago, all this was thrown up from the bottom of the ocean. High concentration of iron in this part of the ocean floor. What happens when iron, water, and oxygen meet?
Rust?
Yes, sir. So you folks came 2,500 miles to see nothing but rusty rocks. Iron oxide, beach sand, turned into sandstone. Now you won't see mountain die down, and the fresh water came in, compacted and eroded this whiter rock that we see up higher into another type of a sandstone called a coconino sandstone. And way at the top, you won't see it here, but you probably saw it when you went up to the Grand Canyon and come down from Flagstaff. There's a 60 to 70 foot layer of rich volcanic soil, basalt, hardened lava. That's the cap on all of this red rock and white rock. If we did not have that layer, we wouldn't be taking this trail. This would have all been eroded away thousands and thousands of years ago. So thank God for the lava. So folks, this is really a geologist's dream out here. But it's so hard to explain to folks when we're talking millions of years of evolution. Above water, below water, salt water, fresh water. It kind of boggles the mind. But if you put this in your date book and you come back out here 40 million years, one more behind me, okay? 40 million years from now, this will all be gone and move 7 miles to the north. So we're drifting very, very slowly to the north. Did y'all feel it last night a little bit? Hey, that's okay. You're on holiday. You're on vacation. Enjoy nighttime. They don't like all the noise and commotion during the daytime. They sure don't like the heat of the summer. But we do have a lot of it out here. We've got some small black bear, 250, 300 pounds. By upstate New York standards, they're very small, and you don't see them very often. But what you can encounter out here, not every day or every other day, but occasionally, is a mountain lion, puma, cougar. And they go anywhere from 100 to 200 pounds. They are beautiful, beautiful creatures. Will not bother anybody, never have. A lot of smaller cats out here too. And at my age, that's kind of what my muscles do. They just go all the way down, okay? And I'll tell you about these trees later on. But we always have to remind Arnold how to be back. But getting back to the animals, folks. You folks in New York, you have the white-tailed deer, right? Yeah, we've got the mule deer out here. They're about a third the size, bigger than a whitetail, gray in color, big Dumbo ears, hop really stupid. Manzanita in Spanish means little apple. At the end of May, 1st of June, you get little bitty apples off here, about big around a pea. Take about 20 of them. Put them in your hand, pop them in your mouth. They've got a tart taste like a Granny Smith. But what's interesting is the wood. That wood is so small, even though it's so small and so spindly, it's so hard and so dense. If you try to burn that in your fireplace at home, you'll burn the house down. It burns it over 800 degrees. But people who have birds like macaws and parrots will use the larger branches for perches because the birds cannot peck through it, it's so hard. There's 5, 6, and 7 right down the bottom. Now I have a question for you folks. Would you drink this water?
I'd boil it, perhaps.
Huh? Could you? Sure you can. It's nasty, it's grody. And there's life in there though. There's moss, there's algae. In the summertime, there's frogs and tadpoles in there. If this water was perfectly crystal clear, would you drink it? Good, because you'd be dead. Poison, arsenic.
Yeah.
So remember that old saying, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. If the horse drinks it, it's good for you. Okay. Well, this was the only water source for miles around. And Brigadier General George Crook, he was the first innovative general of his time. He was the first one to use Indians as scouts against other Indians. So he and the scouts were laid out here in ambush. When the Apache came down to drink, it was pretty easy to defeat him. During one of the first battles, the chief, his wife, and their son were killed in that battle. Now, according to legend, from left to right, the fourth formation, that's the chief. To the left is his wife with a papoose on her back. And to the left of her, the little nose and the forehead sticking out is called Coyote Moon. According to legend, those are the guardians of the 7 sacred pools. Remember we said about legend? A little bit of truth to it. Because folks, most of the Apache that were up here were farmers, okay? They weren't the warlike that you see down in southern Arizona and New Mexico and Texas, okay? So it didn't have a lot of warfare. Pretty easy to, capture. If this was Geronimo's band, no way would you capture him. Absolutely not. So again, Apache is a general term, okay?
Yeah. He would have loved to hike to the bottom or something, but
Yeah,
with them,
that's nice,
that's more than a 24-hour
So we're
trip.
very communal. So it's like the old biblical story of one brother going one way, one going the other way. And there was an Apache that wandered around out here for a lot of years, mainly down south, but he was up here on occasion. He was either famous or infamous, depending upon your point of view. In his native tongue, he was known as Goyate, which translated meant he who yawns much. But the Spanish, the Mexican, gave him a different name. Does anybody know who it was? We hollered every time we jump into the pool. Geronimo! Geronimo was a master tactician of guerrilla warfare, but he had a secret weapon. It was a woman called Josin. Josin was actually the sister of another famous Apache chief, Chief Victorio. Well, many people said Josin was clairvoyant, so she was in touch with the spirit world. So when the United States are where I must go, what I must do, she would do this and tell him, go here, go here, go here. Man-made, doesn't it? Yeah. It is all natural. And I'm going to get you folks up close and personal of that here in just a minute or two. But in the meantime, show enough in between time, there is one more little obstacle we have to negotiate. And I'll show you what that is up here in just a little bit. I'll wait till she backs up before we do that. All right, come on, Miss Kitty, let's see if we can get up here a little bit. She says, I think we can make it. Well, I know you can, so everybody up, and here we go. Oh, ye of little faith. In the immortal words of David Clayton Thomas of Blood, Sweat, and Tears, what goes up?
Well, come on around this way. We'll show you some rocks that have come down. You want to tell us about the rocks that came down, John?
I can. Sure can. Now, the young folks may not 89. Third game of the World Series. Oakland A's versus the San Francisco Giants. The 7.3 California megaquake. 2 days later, that piano-shaped rock came down. The wedge-shaped over to the right is from a 1994 Northridge, California quake. And people say, you don't have earthquakes in Arizona. Oh, yes, we do. We average about 29 a year. Mostly small, 3.0, 3.5. Because what we have here, like spider faults, like a spider's web, where the big kahuna hits in California, and by the time it wiggles and wobbles its way this way, half its intensity, 3.0, 3.5, you barely feel it. But with that in mind, see those big homes right over there? Look at the loose rock on the side of the formation. Would you want to build your home here knowing we have earthquakes, rock slides, landslides? It's kind of like building your home in Malibu and saying the ocean's not going to take it. The word's not if, it's when. So if I was the insurance adjuster, I could have retired a long time ago making our money off there. But we do have 4.7. You could that one rattle the rafters a little bit. But most of them you don't even know they're happening. No, absolutely. And that's where we were, folks, right down in that valley right there. Took the Army from 1872 to 1875, went up that way, and that's how he was able to fight and defeat the Apache Indians. He said it is. I said, Miss Simpson, can I get a picture with you? Very nice lady, not stuck up at all. So you got to picture this old goat, okay, with a beautiful young lady on his side in a one-piece black bathing suit. So we got our picture. We go home. I go home that night. The wife said, what'd you do today? I said, I had a date with Jessica Simpson. She said, you liar. I pulled out my iPhone, showed it to her. I still have the bruise. You see people out here from time to time. You do.
Thank you for joining us on our tour with Colorful Big John. I'm Willie Ebel, wishing you happy travel until next time.